Let me tell you a story. From long ago, a story about love, pride, and the wrath of the gods. It happened in Umuozu, a small village cradled by the Ola Ngwe hills. In those days, the gods were everything. They ruled the rivers, the forest, the crops, and even the air we breathed. Their blessings brought life, and their anger brought ruin. Everyone knew this. Everyone obeyed. In Umuozu, there was a king named Ezeudo, a man of great wisdom and courage. The people loved him. The gods favored him. His reign was peaceful, and his land was blessed, rich harvests, flowing rivers, and no sickness in the land. But Ezeudo had a son, Obiajulu, his only son, and the pride of his heart. Obiajulu, he was everything a prince should be, handsome, strong, and brave. But he was also proud. Too proud. He didn't like to wait for rules, and he often said the gods were too harsh with their laws. His arrogance would be his downfall. It was during the Ofola festival, the holiest time in Umuozu, when everything changed. The oracle had spoken, no one must cross the Obiwan river until the sacred ichnostaff had been blessed by Ola, the earth goddess. This was a sacred ritual. The ichno represented the strength and prosperity of the land, and breaking the covenant would anger the gods. But Obiajulu, he didn't care. He stood by the river that day, watching it flow, and he laughed. "Why should I wait?" he said. "Are we not the children of Ola? This river belongs to us." His father begged him, the priest warned him, but he refused to listen. And so, in defiance of the gods, Obiajulu mounted his horse and crossed the sacred river. That night, the skies changed. The moon disappeared. The wind stopped. And by morning, the signs were clear, the gods were angry. The crops in the fields began to rot. The rivers dried up. Fish died in the streams, and the air grew heavy. The people of Umuozu were terrified. They knew what this meant. The oracle came to the palace, her voice loud and commanding. "Ezeudo," she said, "the gods are angry. The land has been defiled, and the covenant is broken. The only way to save Umuozu is to sacrifice the one who crossed the river. Prince Obiajulu must die." Ezeudo was shattered. His only son. The boy he had raised and loved. The thought alone broke his heart. He knelt before the oracle, tears streaming down his face. "Take me instead," he begged. "I am the king. Let my life pay the price for his sin." But the oracle's voice was firm. "It is not your blood the gods demand, Ezeudo. It is his." Word spread quickly through the village. The people whispered in fear and sorrow. Mothers held their children tightly. Fathers shook their heads. They all loved Obiajulu, but they knew what had to be done. The land was dying. If the prince was not sacrificed, everyone would perish. When Obiajulu returned to the palace and saw the destruction, he understood what he had done. For the first time, the proud prince was silent. He knelt before his father, his voice trembling. "Father, I have brought this curse upon us. Let the gods take me. I will not let Umuozu suffer for my mistake." The villagers gathered at the shrine of Ola the next morning. The air was heavy with sorrow. The drums beat slowly, each strike like a heartbeat fading away. Obiajulu stood tall, ready to face his fate. But just as the priest raised the knife to begin the sacrifice, the ground began to shake. The people screamed and scattered as a massive serpent rose from the earth, a messenger of Ola. Its scales glittered like gold, its eyes burned red, and its voice thundered across the land. "Ezeudo," the serpent roared. "You have defied the gods. Your son crossed the sacred river, and you refuse to obey. Do you think you can escape the wrath of Ola?" Ezeudo fell to his knees, trembling. But before he could speak, Obiajulu stepped forward. "It was my sin," he said boldly. "It is my blood you seek. Spare my father and the people of Umuozu. Let me pay the price." The serpent stared at him, its fiery eyes unblinking. The silence was unbearable. And then, the serpent spoke again, its voice softer, almost calm. "You were never meant to die, Obiajulu. This was a test of your father's love and your own courage. Because Ezeudo was willing to sacrifice himself for you, and because you were willing to lay down your life for the land, the gods are appeased. With that, the serpent vanished. The skies cleared, and rain began to fall. The rivers flowed again, the yams grew, and life returned to Umuozu. The people rejoiced, praising the gods and their king. But let this story remind you, the gods do not forget. They are always watching. They do not seek blood, but they test our hearts. And when the time comes, as it always does, will we have the courage to face their trials? Will we choose love, humility, and sacrifice? Let us remember the story of Ezeudo and Obiajulu, and pray that when the gods test us, we are ready. End.